Welcome to The Lock Shop with Nielsen and Hustler, powered by Coolbet Canada.
Well, what is up, everybody, and welcome to another winning edition of The Lock Shop, brought to you by Coolbet, until they dump us for completely crushing them on the golf scene for the last couple weeks. If you sign up for an account, use the code LOCKSHOP. I'm surprised that the code isn't Huss doesn't lose. Buddy, congratulations. This is an all-timer.
Thank you. Shout out to Tom Kim, the train, the most... Well, listen, you always knew that Tony Finau was my guy. We have a new one of my guys for eternity. What he did on the weekend, not only making it 4 in a row and 6 of 7 for us picking winners with 3 shots each week, was historic. He had a quad bogey on the first hole of the tournament.
That's the craziest part.
4 over and still ended up winning by 3 or 4 shots. He's became, other than Jordan Spieth, the youngest player to win a PGA Tour event since the Second World War. And I'm not sure if you've seen the video on this guy, but he's a real character too. I mean, he is of Korean descent. He's lived all around the world. He speaks 3 languages. His English is great. And he was talking about what his favorite things about coming to North America was. And he just started listing off Chick-fil-A, Chipotle, Panda Express, fast food connoisseur. So he's very close to my heart. And this kid has absolutely insane game. And we saw it on the weekend. Got to tell you, that was, so Cam Smith 30, Tony Finau back-to-back with 14s, and now 33-1 at Coolbet on Tom Kim. I would be lying if I didn't say I was feeling a lot of pressure going over the golf options for this week. And this is a great way to do it as we get into FedEx and the start of the FedEx Cup playoffs. So we're going to have the who's who, the best on the PGA Tour, teeing it up this weekend.
I was in Vancouver working on the weekend, brought my wife, and we're walking around doing the tourist thing on Saturday, and I'm kind of going on the app, and I'm looking, and I'm like, wait a second, Kim. That's Huss's guy. Like, that's it. So I got his name, and then I was like, is this the guy they call Tom Kim? So I went back and got it again. I brought the episode. I was like, holy smokes, he's doing it again, which was, it was absolutely phenomenal. This is an all-time run. Huss has picked 4 straight golf winners. We've got 6 of the last 7 weeks overall. Huss, I don't even want to know what the odds would be of us hitting 6 of 7 like this. Like, this is ridiculous. I don't know, we'll do this ever again.
I mean, the bottom line is you're teeing up, 144 guys or 150 guys in each tournament. I mean, it's not easy. And even, the Finau numbers were somewhat short. The Rocket Mortgage and the 3M Fields were not as deep. But honestly, those are usually when we find someone that's sort of coming from off the board at 60 or 70 or 80-1 that's winning it. So, there hasn't been completely crazy outliers that have been coming through. But that's really been the story of golf all season long. With the exception of KH Lee at 100-1 earlier this year, I think the longest shot we've had has been like in and around 40. And most of the winners have been in that low 20 number, early 30s. So kind of trying to pick in that group right now. And it's paying off right now. So shout out to everyone that has been riding. In a few minutes, we will get to the golf picks, and we'll see if we can make it a ridiculous 5 weeks in a row.
Well, it was funny because before we went on, I was like, should we talk about golf and the streak that we're on and then get right into picks? A tradition unlike any other, as I labeled here. And I thought, no, you can't. I don't know if you're a superstitious guy, but we can't mix it up, right? Like, we got to go back to CFL and then come back around to golf again.
That is exactly right. We will tease the folks, and the golf picks will be coming up in a few minutes. But hey, credit to you. And I think we've still gone. I don't know when the last time one of us had a losing week in the Canadian Football League, but it's been good. I was 2-2 last week. Could have gone either way. It was hilarious with that Bomber game. I was feeling pretty good about, the call was Bombers win, but it would be somewhat close. And it was close through 3 quarters. And then, like an animal almost toying with its prey, He realized it was time to go, and the squash match was on. I mean, I don't know how they went from tied to a 21-point lead in like 3 or 4 minutes, but his Bomber team is amazing. Won't make the same mistake this week, but overall, the CFL picks, other than week 1, which was ugly, and it always inevitably is. I'm already bracing for week 1 of NFL season.
Yeah.
It's been awesome since then. And as I said, if the worst week you have is 2-2, you can definitely live with that because there have been some nice ones, 3-1s and 4-0. By the way,
well, and it's funny when you said the lines to me last night, your picks, when I went on like 30 minutes later, the lines had already moved, and now I see they've gone back the other way. So there's been, some wiggle room on most of these lines just over the last like 18 hours, Huss. And I guess we start with the Bombers because you had it at 12 last night. It was 12.5 when I went to lock in my picks, and I think it's back at 12 again right now. Yeah, it is. It's 12 right now. Bombers at home -12. So you're thinking a follow-up blowout to go to perfect 10-0 or what?
I mean, the thing is, the Bombers don't necessarily blow teams out, but even when they're relatively mediocre and, just do what they have to do, they're still winning by double digits and covering the spread. I mean, they did it completing 7 passes in Edmonton a few weeks ago. And last week against the Alouettes was a perfect example. I'm going to tell you one thing, though. This stadium is going to be rocking on Thursday. You're calling the game, right? You're going to be.
I'm coming out for that one. I'll be there.
I mean, the Bombers haven't had a home game since the game against Calgary on the 15th of July. So with the Thursday night game, people are going to be in the city. I think the crowd should be great. People would be fired up. And I got to tell you, man, this Bomber team is just something special about them. They have a level of professionalism and confidence unlike anything I think I've ever seen before. And they just have a belief that no matter who's going to be in the lineup, they will be able to get the job done. And Mike O'Shea, very unlike other head coaches in this city, is a no BS, no excuse guy. We could have been talking about their schedule. I mean, they still haven't had a bye yet this week. They've been playing 3 games in 11 nights. They're traveling from Montreal to BC to Winnipeg to Calgary. It doesn't matter. You'll never hear them mention it. They just go out and get it done. And the bottom line is they're better than everybody else. And listen, I think the only thing that could possibly shake up the Bombers' quest for a 3rd straight Grey Cup would be to have the BC Lions somehow get first place in the West and have that West final being in BC place. Because I don't think BC or Calgary is beating the Bombers outside in Winnipeg in November at IG Field. And I'll tell you what, if they can get to 10-0 heading into their first of 3 bye weeks this week, I think they'll give themselves it would take a real fall off in the second half of the season, which I don't expect to happen. So as far as this game goes, I mean, I just think we saw in the fourth quarter, this Bomber team is simply in another class than the Montreal Alouettes, as with many of the teams, especially in the East. And I don't think at home with the crowd, the excitement of getting the Bombers back here, that they'll have a pedestrian first half like they had before. I think they run away with this one. And as I said, they've been routinely covering double-digit spreads. Why not again this weekend to go to 10-0 heading into their first bye week?
Yeah, I'm riding with the Bombers on this one. I was on them last week. I know this is a big bump, but they are heading home. And you know what? Trevor Harris is still expected to start on Thursday, but he's been banged up since taking that shot to the back a while ago now. So, yeah, I mean, I said Bombers are 7-2 against the spread so far this year. I mean, they're 9-0, but they're 7-2 against the spread. So I'm gonna go Winnipeg. Minus, I just 12.5 last night. We can lock it in at 12. I like their chances to go to 10-0 on the season, which is, I mean, that's past the halfway point. That's full-blown undefeated watch at that point, in my opinion. That's how I'll be building it up on the broadcast, so I look forward to that.
Yeah, we were looking at the schedule yesterday for the Bombers, and it's interesting. They've got another game with Calgary coming up later on this month, and the back-to-back games against Saskatchewan, and a 3rd game against the Riders at the end of September here. I think a game with Hamilton mixed in there, and obviously a couple more buys. The 2 games against the BC Lions are the last 2 weeks of the season. So here's the thing. I mean, if they get to 16-0, I wouldn't at all be surprised. If
do they have a buy in there as well? Because I think BC, BC goes Winnipeg, Edmonton, Winnipeg, right? Yeah.
Game by game. So again, I mean, it sure would be cool to be talking about at that point, but the bottom line for the Bombers is they're looking to clinch home field, West Final, one game to get to the Grey Cup. And I don't think that they'll spend too much capital, if you will, within the dressing room on trying to go 18-0. That being said, if we're able to even be talking about this in a month or two, would be an incredible story from the Canadian Football League. And again, the best start ever to a season is 12-0, and the opportunity for the Bombers to get that would happen at the Banjo Bowl at home if they can win the Labor Day Classic and the other game against Calgary. So, hey, it's going to be fun. This is the team to beat in the Canadian Football League. And as I've said repeatedly over and over on the Lock Shop, nobody's getting rich betting against the Bombers. Let's take the home team to cover the number in game number 1.
All right, Ticats Argos was the one game I missed last week, and I'm going to ride again with the Ticats coming home for the second of 4 over a 5-week stretch. And this game, so I'm sitting there getting ready to do my game. This was the first game on Saturday. So I'm at BC Place, and I've got this game on my iPad. I'm following along. I got a monitor up behind me, and things were looking good. Like, things were looking pretty good for the Ticats. And then one thing that they've done all year, they kind of did again. They shot themselves in the foot and completely fell apart. So I'm thinking a return home, avoid that this time, avoid the implosion. Like, I don't think the Argos are going to win, 4 of these 4 against the Ticats. Hamilton's going to get 1 or 2 of them. So I'm going to take the Ticats -1 at home. But I will say, betting on the Ticats is a very nervous proposition. I think you've learned that so far this season with Hamilton.
Yeah, I'm completely out on Hamilton, and I needed that game to avoid you smoking me last week. I did get to 2-2 on the back of the Argos. Listen, I think that the Ticats have lost some really key players, some of them who are on the Toronto Argonauts right now.
Yeah.
And I don't know, without Jeremiah Masoli there, we haven't seen the sort of quarterback play from Dane Evans that they certainly expected. And to your exact point, they can't take care of the football.
No, they can't. It's killing them.
Penalties and you take it, but I mean, you look at a few of their losses are directly because of Evans in particular putting the ball on the carpet. I think this will be a real close game. The Argos did win by 2 touchdowns on the weekend. I think this one will be a nail biter. But to be honest, I just have a lot more confidence in both the Argos on both sides of the football right now, but especially on the offense. We'll see how nicked up Andrew Harris is and how impactful he can be in this game coming up. If he's going to be in the lineup, I hope and assume that he will be. But listen, I think that, despite having the home crowd, I think there's a real pressure that is being felt right now by Dane Evans in particular. And to be honest, I don't think he especially has responded very well to it. So if that's going to be the case, this basically is a pick 'em. But when I got it in yesterday, Argos were +1. I'm seeing right now they're +1.5. I'm taking the points with the Argos on the road, albeit just a quick drive down the highway from TO.
Huge game on Saturday. I'll be in Calgary for this one as well. Cannot wait. The Lions have 1 loss. It was to the Bombers. Calgary's got 2. They were both to the Bombers. Something has to give this week, Huss, and we're going to be on the same side of this one. We both like the Lions. It was half a point to essentially pick them last night for you. I saw them at -1 last night. I don't know if that line has moved back. So I like -1.5 now. So money coming in on the BC Lions, and I think I can see why. I mean, to me, this number doesn't even close at 1.5. I could see it getting up to 2.5 by the time we get to kickoff. So I look at the Lions. I mean, Rourke doesn't miss. Like, he's insane. He had 34 of 37. With 5 touchdown passes in the last game. I know it's Edmonton. He's torched them twice. But his season-long completion percentage is the best we've ever seen in the Canadian Football League. He's on pace to beat Doug Flutie's touchdown record by 6. And he's at like a 6,200-yard pace, which would be the 2nd or 3rd all-time. And they just got Burnham back. And Rhymes is an absolute monster. And Hatcher's a stud. Like, he's got so many weapons. Calgary just lost Trey Roberson, so that's a big piece defensively. And to be honest with you, Calgary's offense, I don't think they can hang with the BC offense. So for that reason, I'm going to take the Lions here, and I like the number where both of us got it.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, I was sort of going through these numbers with Remus yesterday on Winnipeg Sports Talk right when they came out. And I noticed that it basically opened as a pick 'em. BC was, a half-point favorite, and the money line originally was -114 and -106. So essentially, I mean, we're talking about flipping a coin here and picking who you think is going to win. To me, the offenses of these teams, I mean, with the exception of Kadeem Carey and what he's able to do running the football when healthy, he would be like that level. That running game is elite. Everything else offensively leans heavily to the BC Lions side of things. Now, to your point, I mean, when they did have their big test against the Bombers, they didn't look very good. And it was pretty pedestrian in that, what was it, 17-12 win over Hamilton at home earlier this year. But overall, I mean, everything Nate Rourke is being thrown is being caught. And the luxury they have right now with spending so little on the quarterback position,
big time,
has beefed up the defense and beefed up the weapons around Nathan Rourke. And it's really put him in a situation to succeed. I'm a believer. I'm in on the Lions right now. I am a bit disappointed we have to wait to the end of the season to see BC and Winnipeg go at it again. But I think they've got all the momentum going into this game. And, hey, it could be an FU game from Bo Levi Mitchell to say, hey, don't forget about me. Don't forget about us. But if you look at Bo Levi's numbers game over game, they haven't been very good. And if you had the unfortunate displeasure of watching that dud game between Calgary and Ottawa last week, I don't think there was anything that was going to suggest, outside of the performance of the Calgary defense holding Ottawa to 3 points, that this was going to be a team that can handle the rocket that is the BC Lions right now. So at Pick'em at -1.5, even right now at -1.5, I like the Lions to get a big win and sort of plant the flag as the number 2 team in the West and give themselves the inside track on hosting that West semifinal, assuming the Bombers finish in the 1 hole.
And the 4th game on the schedule, Saturday here in Edmonton, the Elks at home. They were 5-point dogs when you sent in your picks. I saw them at 6 last night. It has moved back to 5 right now. I'm going to go on the home side here with the Elks. I know they're coming off a beatdown. They've got crushed 3 times this year, and still managed to not be at the bottom of the CFL power rankings, if you can believe it. This is more a bet against not knowing what the Riders are. The Riders are one of the biggest mysteries to me in the Canadian Football League right now, from discipline issues to health issues to Cody Fajardo and what he's able to do, from a mobility perspective. And I know they're coming off getting some rest here, but I don't know. I don't know if the Riders have the team right now to go out and win by 8-9 points. So with that being said, I mean, I don't think anybody knows what the Elks are going to do, even with their lineup from week to week. But I don't know. It's too big a number for me to go with the Riders team that has had some question marks over the last month or so.
Well, I'll agree with you that Saskatchewan is somewhat of an unknown. I will say this, though. We know exactly what the Elks are, and that is a tire fire right now. I can't believe that this team has 2 wins on the season. And
against the East.
I was the guy that went on the program yesterday going, I know BC's great. I know they killed Elks before, but this 12 or 12.5 number is so big. I'm going to lay the points. I expect them to be more competitive. It might have been worse than they were in the first game against this team. I mean, I'm not seeing halfway through the season that this Elks team is making a whole lot of progress. I think Saskatchewan is going to be much better coming off the bye. I think there's a real pressure for them right now, not only to win this game, but sort of get back into the mix in the West and certainly in the crossover. Listen, it would take a lot to lay 5 or 6 points with the Riders on the road right now against just about anyone, but just about anyone isn't the Elks right now. And listen, all the positivity that our buddy Victor Cui has brought by the organization, the stuff they're doing in the stands is great. But Chris Jones has to get this figured out. First of all, he's got to figure out his personnel. I mean, you can't have a revolving door with half your team changing each and every game. This has been a basically glorified preseason through the first half of the year for the Elks. And as I say, until further notice, I will be fading the Elks at every opportunity, starting with the final game this weekend against the Riders.
All right, so there you go. 4 games in the Canadian Football League for Week 10. And, the games that we are on, the Bombers and the Lions, we're both on. We've been pretty good when it's been unanimous here with the Lock Shop. So if you're looking at 2 games to really load up on, those would be the 2 that we would suggest this week. All right, dun, 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 St. Jude Invitational. And, Huss, I just have to say, I love that you're riding with your boys. But that is incredible confidence, my man.
Listen, sometimes you have to dance with the one that you brought. And hey, first off, I'll talk about Justin Thomas. Thomas is at the top of my card this week. We haven't seen a lot of JT since the Open Championship. And the Open, he was just sort of average for him. I mean, he was tied for 53rd. He missed the cut at the Scottish Open, wasn't in a great spot. U.S. Open had a nice opening round, but didn't play great. I mean, of course, before that was right in that incredible run with Rory McIlroy at the RBC Canadian Open. But there's a couple of reasons why I like Justin Thomas. First of all, he's won this event twice. The other thing about JT is he is the big game hunter. And when I say big game, I mean big checks. He knows what's at stake right now in the FedEx Cup playoffs. He's won it before. And I think you have JT coming off a nice rest, giving him plenty of time to prepare for the FedEx Cup playoffs. I think he'll be good right out the gate. I think that when he is at the top of his game, he can beat anybody. And I do like the course history that he has at the FedEx St. Jude, to put him in a good spot when he drops it. So I love that. I think there's some real good value with Justin Thomas. I would normally, even in a field like this, think of him as maybe more like a 15, 16 to 1 guy. So at 20 to 1 to 1, I could not help but jump on him. And then I had some very difficult choices. There were some other guys and some other numbers I liked. I thought about Victor Hovland at 40 to 1. I even thought about the guy that started this entire thing, Cam Smith.
Yeah.
But I'm going with the 2 guys that have won us 3 straight weeks. Now, first of all, we'll talk Tony Finau. Tony's at 23 to 1.
A lot of people like him this week, buddy.
Coming off back-to-back wins. I mean, I'll be honest. I watched most of Saturday and Sunday in both of the last 2 tournaments. And Tony, and I say this as a Tony stan of all time, I've never seen him play with the confidence that he has right now, as well as the putter, the way that he is playing right now. And I mean, he hit all 18 greens. I mean, he is automatic right now. He is in such of a groove. And you know what? Tony, for a long time, was thought of the best guy that it just wouldn't happen for him. He was T2 Tony, top 5 Tony. Well, guess what? We know full well. Sorry about that. We know full well that that Tony Finau can compete with everyone. He won the Northern Trust in the FedEx last year. That's the second event of this. And is now coming off back-to-back wins. I mean, if you want to talk about current form, a guy that has it all, I mean, Tony Finau's that guy. And I wouldn't be able to look myself in the mirror, to be perfectly honest, if Tony Finau went out and had another great week and I'd gotten off the Tony train after 2 straight wins. So there you go. Tony Finau's on the card at plus 2,300, 23 to 1. And then it came down to a couple of those other guys. As I said, I was thinking about Victor Hovland. But let's think about what Tom Kim has done so far over the course of the last, 2 months. He's played his way onto the PGA Tour. He already had conditional membership for the rest of the season. Well, with the win last week, he bounced Matt Wallace out of the playoffs. He gets in. He gets his win. He'll be at the majors. We talked about the records that he broke, how young he was. But the bottom line is this guy is dialed in. He's playing at a game. His game was at a different level than everybody else in that tournament after the quad bogey on number 1. He finished top 10 at the Scottish Open. I mean, he has been doing this tournament after tournament, and I think this was a real coming out party for him. I'll tell you what, Dusty, I think gone are the days where we're going to be getting numbers like this on Tom Kim. I think there's still a few people that are a little bit close. I'll tell you what, if this guy was from San Diego, California, instead of South Korea, I think that the hype around him would be at a whole nother level, and I think everyone known. I'll tell you what, I'm going to take it. Going back to back would be insane, but I'll tell you what, at 40 to 1, considering he won it for us last week, much like Tony, I could not have him on. He's playing as well as anyone right now and seems to have the freedom of a young guy that almost doesn't know what he's doing. So at the expense of some other guys, and let's face it, I'm playing with a little bit of house money. I might make the other wager for another wager or two. But if I had to just stick to 3 guys for this event, I'm going with the guys that brought us here: Tony Finau, Tom Kim, and I really do like Justin Thomas at 21-1 to get a great start at another run at that $15 million check and the FedEx Cup playoffs. What do you got?
Man, this would be, if you hit on Finau for a 3rd time during this run, I'm going to shit my pants. And Tom Kim going back-to-back would be something else. But you're right. I mean, as far as the way he's playing right now, buddy, you're not going to find many guys who are playing better. I kind of hit a few different tiers. Didn't go too deep on this one. I'm going to start with Xander, who rolled into St. Andrews with back-to-back victories, cruising along. And I guess if you want to say, not a great event, he still finished T15. And how about this? He's got 8 top 20s since April. Okay. And we know, he's a playoff monster in the past. He's been playing extremely well. He's got multiple wins this year. So I'm going to put Xander at the top of the card. He is at 17-1. Matt Fitzpatrick. Did you win with Fitzpatrick? Was he on this run, or did we miss on Fitzpatrick?
No, it was Cam Smith back-to-back.
Cam Smith,
Tony.
that's right.
Oh, but actually,
did I win with Fitzpatrick?
I believe so. That might have been God. We've been having all these wins for the last little while. Let me check it out and see if he was one of those the first.
Yeah, let me see, because I've got his PGA page right here in front of me as well. Let's see here. Yeah, he won the U.S. Open, which
But I just can't remember whether you had him or not for that. The U.S.
I think
Open,
that would have been the beginning of the run, because it was June 19th, and here we are in August, and we've picked 6 of the last 7. So he's we either won with him, or he's the one that we missed on, and that's it. I mean, over the last 7 weeks, which is insane. Anyway, I'm going back to Fitzpatrick again. He's played well. He's played well on this course. Not so much last year, as he had a 74 to wrap up last year, finished 57th, but his 2 trips to TPC Southwind before that, 4th and 6th. So he's played extremely well on this course in the past. We know what he's done so far this year. His last, let's just go back to Wells Fargo. T2, T5 of the PGA Championship, missed the cut of the Memorial, T10 at RBC Canadian Open, won the U.S. Open, T6 at the Scottish Open, and then T21 at the Open Championship. So he's having a phenomenal year. He's played here well 2 of the 3 times that he's played. And he is the tour leader in strokes gained tee to green. So I'm going to go with Matt Fitzpatrick. And then I'm going to go, when I had this guy on my card a little while ago, and that's Cameron Young. Have to think that he's going to be tough to take the Rookie of the Year away from him. 4 runner-up finishes, including each of his last 2 starts. Also has a pair of 3rds this year as well. We've talked about it a number of times with Zalatoris and kind of grouping him into this category now. It's just a matter of time until he gets one. He missed the cut. So this was his run, because we talked about it when I had him on the card a couple of weeks ago. RBC Heritage T3, Fargo T2, PGA Championship T3, Memorial not good, 60th or something like that. U.S. Open cut, Genesis cut. Since then, a couple of back-to-back runner-ups. So this is a guy who struggled, but has bounced back nicely. Most impressive first-year player, I think, on the tour, and you're getting him at 33-1. So I'm going to go with Xander, Matt Fitzpatrick, and Cam Young at the St. Jude Invitational. Well, one of these 6 win it, and the streak continue. That'd be amazing.
It certainly would. I love the picks. And Fitzpatrick, if you look back at his last 4 events that he's played, a win, a 6th, a T10, I mean, his game is in a great spot right now. The other guy that I sort of considered that I don't hear anybody talking about right now is Scotty Scheffler. And Scheffler's at 17-1 right now. By the way, Xander is now 21-1 at Coolbet. That's a pretty big.
Wow, he moved since last night. Yeah,
that. I'm not sure if either you mix that up or what the case, because of course Xander had the back-to-back wins. But I don't think we can go wrong with playing with playing guys right now that are in incredible form, and they just happen to be on some of our cards over the past little bit. So let's see what we can do. It's be a great event. And then, of course, next week, I believe, is the Northern Trust, where Tony won last year. So, it's been a
he's on the card again.
Of course he's going to be on. Book it in right now. Listen, you can pretty much take this to the bank for the rest of this year. The way Finau is playing and our long, illustrious history with Finau, I've been waiting for him to turn into a weekly winning machine for a number of years. It's happened now, and you're damn right we're going to be on it. Heck of a run, though, and let's keep it going. See if we can make some more magic happen to kick off the FedEx playoffs at the St. Jude.
All right, before we wrap up, I didn't have time to make a board for it, Huss, but you got a baseball parlay that you want to throw out there today, so let's do that before we wrap up this episode of The Lock Shop.
I do. I've got some, I'm just kind of identifying some nice pitching matchups right now. We got Manoah on the hill for the Blue Jays against the Orioles after their loss last night. I think the Jays and the big stud on the hill bounce back. They're minus 154. We got Shane Bieber on the bump for the Cleveland Guardians against the lowly Detroit Tigers. That one is in at minus 189. And my God, can we get Shohei Ohtani some goddamn run support and get a win or two? The guy's 9-7 on the year. Playing on any other team, he'd probably be something like 15-3. That being said, they're playing Oakland. Oakland stinks. Minus 182 for that. So Cleveland, Jays, and Angels just all on the money line. Pop those together. Just about 3-1 plus 291 on a quick little Tuesday night parlay over at CoolBet. And one other thing that I will mention, I've already got a couple picks in. I'm not sure when these matches are. It's very difficult to follow, but a great week for tennis in Canada. Leylah Fernandez winning last night. I often will parlay a few big favorites early on. I had Leylah and two other women last night for a parlay that was just minus 111. But there is some opportunities, I think, to get the odd easy win, although it always sucks if you have a minus 500 favorite blowing a parlay that's not at great odds. But I do find that, the first couple rounds of events like this, sometimes there's some good spots for that. But get to CoolBet. All of your tennis options for both the men and the women at the National Bank Open is there for you, ready to go.
Excellent. There we go. Winnipeg Sports Talk coming up today, Huss. I'm going to spend most of my day in my basement interviewing CFL coaches and players with 2 games this week. I've got about 3 hours of Zoom meetings to do this afternoon. But what's coming up in Winnipeg Sports Talk? I might pop in and check it out.
Well, the Turtle Man, my guy Milt Stiegel, he's jumping on. We'll talk Bombers. Just can't wait to get his thoughts on what they've done through this half the season, the game on Monday, as well as everything else happening in and around the Canadian Football League. Mike McIntyre was one of thousands of Southern Manitobans and Canadians that made the trip to the Twin Cities on the weekend for the Jays Twins series. He's back. He'll join us a little bit more in the Jets offseason, the latest from Bomber practice. And I will probably talk about the KD drama as well, and Chris Sales screwing his season with another ridiculous injury that only seems to happen in the world of baseball. It should be a great show. We're live here in Winnipeg, 1 o'clock on YouTube. Check us out, Winnipeg Sports Talk. Hit that red subscribe button. And, of course, you can also get the audio podcast wherever you get the Lock Shop. Just search Winnipeg Sports Talk.
There you go. All your podcasting platforms is where you can find the Lock Shop. Exciting things coming up for the Lock Shop. We'll have more on that a little bit later in the month. Huss, have a good show today, buddy, and let's go get a golf winner. Let's do it again, buddy.
5 in a row. Let's go.